Greetings everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you again so much for tuning in. I'm Simmer Chase, and today is episode number 50 of our speed build. Yes, we've made it all the way to 50! I am so excited, and thank you so much for tuning in. So today's episode's actually a fun one, and it's got sort of a Valentine's Day theme. Yes, and also paranormal. Yes, so what I'm talking about is the Tarot House Apothecary, or what I'm now calling the House of Tarot Apothecary, because you're only allowed so many characters in the gallery description. So I'm like, okay, well, how can I get creative with this? Because basically a fortune teller lives in this house, and now she might be like on the corner or in the alley and be like, come, child. Get your fortune read. And then you're like, oh my gosh. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, here's an apple. And you're like, no. And then she's like, eat it. And then you're like, no. And then she's like, eat it. And you're like, fine. And you eat it. And then, you end up just kind of like doing whatever. So you end up taking her advice and go getting your fortune read. Yes, up on the second floor outside Cabana with séance table. Yes, so I thought, this would be a really fun use of our cabanas, and maybe our pergolas even at some point here in the future. Once they maybe do like a beach seance area. But I thought, oh my gosh, this adds a whole nother layer and a whole nother category of buildings you can do with a spooky paranormal theme. Yes, so I'm talking about spooky movie theaters. I'm talking about spooky houses, of course, but then I'm talking about the spooky restaurant, the spooky apothecary, like I'm doing. So what apothecary is basically like a wellness shop slash like medical sort of just things that you can buy. Maybe you might get like a pencil and mortar, which is like, that like marble thing that you mash up, like muddle, like mint and that kind of stuff in. So you've got things like that, or you can make what they call compounds, which is mixing a bunch of different medicines or lotions together to create like a product or a lotion or a remedy. And then of course we have about everything you're gonna need to want to buy to do any sort of paranormal magic or pretty much any kind of other occult like sort of activity. So it's all in the apothecary, and then next door is going to be the house that the fortune teller lives in. Yes, it's a fortune teller house, and she's kind of a cat lady too. So I was like, oh yes, this would be fun because she scares off everybody. Nobody wants to date her because who would want to if you know, like the person already knows like everything that's going to happen, like you wouldn't want that probably, because then it kind of destroys your ambition probably, because they're like, oh, well, it's just, no, don't even try that. It's not going to work, or don't do that because it's not, then what kind of life is that going to be? So that's why I was like, yep, this would definitely be a single cat lady person over here. And then she's just like, come, child, get your fortune read. And you're like, oh no! Oh my gosh, how scary. So, without any further ado, if you haven't yet, please like and subscribe in the links below. Yep, please, thank you. And as always, stay proud. Go out and do something magical. And let's go ahead and dive into this build now. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I'm Simmer Chase, and today I am building the apothecary. I am so stoked for you guys to check this out. So my idea is to kind of think of like, what if you had like an old town with an old cat lady who also could tell your fortune? And I went to Chicago a while back, and like this is, I guess, when I was like just 18, 19. So a while ago, like 15 years ago. And basically, it's funny because when I went to Chicago, I actually got asked by a fortune teller. They're like, hello, hello. And they had this like really creepy, like high pitched, yet like mystic voice. And they're like, come, child, get your fortune read. And I'm like, um, okay, I guess. And it was really funny because it was actually a very interesting experience. And it was right around Valentine's Day. The person I was seeing at the time had me go in and do it with them. And then it was hilarious because the fortune teller's like, oh no, you're not gonna work. No. Oh no, no, you're not gonna work. No. But you found the right name. So they're like, you're going to end up with the person of that name, but not that person. And I was like, that's crazy. And then sure enough, that happened. I actually married the same named person later in life. And it was hilarious. And now we've been together for 9 years. So, some of her ideas, definitely came true. And I'm not saying I'm definitely a believer, but take it with a grain of salt. But at the same point, it's definitely very fun to kind of speculate and think about a little bit. So I really want to kind of pay homage to that little bit in my life by doing this. And this building is actually, this two little building set here is kind of fabled and designed after many of the little old historic sort of buildings that you see in like the town squares or in the like downtown areas of now what are pretty much vacant downtowns across America, where it was kind of like where you would go and like hitch up your horse and buggy and go in, and you have your grocery store, your post office and everything all like right in a row, and they were just in like row buildings similar to this. And so you just kind of had that like all over the country in these little tiny pocket towns. It might have been off of a railroad, it might have been off of a major intersection or or a highway. But then once the interstates came around, then everything kind of sprawled out, everything got bigger, and that sort of need and use just didn't end up happening. So it was like a little bit of a bummer in a way for me, because I was just like, no, this is not, like, I really want to make sure that these buildings really make it and that they are really noticed, across the world, basically, because I think they're really important to be kept. And it's just sad because some of them have actually, been wrecking balled, or they've burnt down, or, there might be a new major development or new hotel that could go in so they could tear these down. And I just, it's very sad for me in that moment. So I want to make sure that people like at least see and appreciate these sort of buildings and understand that they exist. So if and when, anybody ever came across one, they're like, they appreciate, like, wow, I saw a Sims build where it looked kind of like that building. And I think it's important, or I've learned this, XYZ fact about these buildings. And actually these came around sort of in the late 1700s, 1800s, because it was just basically everything was just a forest or, a farm that somebody had already, kind of started up a little bit. And so it's really unfortunate because as time progressed, things just started densifying. And so then everything was just kind of like plowed over basically and steamrolled over, so to speak. So I think that it's really neat to kind of have that opportunity to really kind of pay homage to those buildings here. So now I'm just kind of toying around a little bit with some of the ideas. As you saw before, I was actually thinking maybe even doing a clock tower on the building, but because it is so rectangle, it didn't work out. And I was like, yeah, it's just going to take too much away from the building and its aesthetics. So you're going to see here in a moment what I actually end up doing instead. And as you guys know, I'm like a huge fan of the landscaping. It doesn't matter if I have like 10 tiles or I have like, half of a whole 64 by 64 lot. It's going to have landscaping. And then it's going to, I'm going to try and make sure that it looks as good as theoretically possible here in the build, but I'm going to make sure that it looks good day and night. So that's why you see here, like some of the stuff that I did with like all the lighting and then the lights all over the place, because I think of those old spooky haunted houses and stuff. And so there was just a lot of bright light and there was a lot of like at night, but it's like the way that the shadows and caster stuff through that light are then what really give it that ominous, like, it's spooky feel, you know? It's like, yeah, spooky. So now I'm coming around and adding my last little bits and elements here on the outside of it. You wouldn't know it, but this actually took about 8 hours to put together, because I was just waffling on a lot of things too. So I would like come and mess with a little bit and then pick it back up again and then mess with it some more and then pick it back up again. So here you see me like toying around with different spooky ideas, but then I just wanted to kind of refine it a little bit more because, like, I could have went a lot of different ways, as you're kind of seeing here with some of the exterior stuff, but I really wanted to make sure that it was fairly simple because I was thinking like the Apothecary from Schitt's Creek, that really fun Academy Award winning show that features one of my favorite all-time actors, Dan Levy. Yes, he was on SNL the other night. It was so cool. Anyway, so I was, watching Schitt's Creek, as many of us have. And if you haven't yet, definitely do. And he had the Schitt's Creek Apothecary. I can't remember. I think it was called the Rose Apothecary, or Rosebud Apothecary, after David Rose, their characters. And then also, it was called like the Rosebud Motel, for instance. So I was like, yes, I want to do some sort of like apothecary. And before I was going to do more of like a pet clinic until the Paranormal pack came out. And then I was like, this is perfect because when I think of apothecary, I think of something for like the witch's brew or something like really just funky. So with a lot of like really obscure oddity sort of things you can acquire or procure, and maybe add to your poison collection or your potions. So you're going to see here in a moment when we go and like really decorate heavily the store, and you're going to see a lot of products go in. And then at the end of this, you're going to see like a minute worth of like screenshots and recording pieces. And I have a little tour as well. So you guys can definitely check it out and see more of the detail as it kind of comes across here in a moment. That will kind of come together. But right now I am getting the last bits here of the second floor so it's the apothecary's broke up into 3 sections here on the right. We have the second floor that's pretty much just like a cafe, deli, shop, basically where you can get your magical food, edible items and get like, your cafe, deli kind of things, coffee, that kind of stuff. And then there on the first floor is actually the retail shop, because you basically wouldn't want to put your coffee, obviously, and all of your drinkable and edible things like right by your merch, because then people are going to just spill stuff and make a huge mess. And of course we wouldn't want that. So yeah, so I was like, I'm putting this on the second floor so that you can be like, excuse me, miss, excuse me, no beverages down here on the first floor. Get rid of that. Unless you're gonna cap it and take it with you. So I am doing like that cafe area now, little seating area. And I decided then to bring in more of the cafe elements, and then also to let you get maybe like something from the hot grill as well. And then I have I'm kind of switching in between a little bit too on the outside, because I start seeing more elements and I'm like, ooh, this could really like jazz up the outside a little bit more. So that's where you saw like me do the fountains, that kind of stuff. Now you can buy your crystal balls. And then when I saw those peppers and stuff, it made me think of like this kind of thing, like a real, like I never really use them in my kitchen because they look weird to me. They look like something you'd have in a spooky store. So that's what I did here. And then another episode you're going to see this week coming from me with the Valentine's theme is actually different ideas on how to create potted plants and flower arrangements without custom content in The Sims, so that you can make our rudimentary, basic, yes, basic in some instances, plants and flowers look like cutting edge, world class, top shelf, Bouquets, yes. Not just a flower arrangement, but a bouquet, like an okay bouquet. Yes, yes, a really good one. So now I'm also coming up on the, so now we're actually doing I did the sugar skulls. Now we're doing the bathroom. Because when I circled back around, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't even have a public bathroom for this place. So I need to pop that in too. So I stole a little more square footage from the apartment unit then to build this little like 3-stall semi-private unisex bathroom. And then for the kitchen, I want to do something a little different here by the stairs because I wanted to kind of try something similar to what was in the spooky house that Dr. Ashley did. And so what it was is she had like this like three-tiered sort of like staircase like what we've got here. And so I, chunked a little out for that toilet. And then on the other side for that bump out, that's where I popped in that other cabinet so that wasn't a total dead space. And then we're doing built-ins, like we also had next door. I really love the new wallpaper that we got with the Paranormal pack, and a lot of this floral stuff. So I popped those in. Now we have the pet stuff because we have a 3-cat lady. Yes, of course. And 3 was kind of like one of those sort of numerology, like, sort of numbers that kind of have like hidden meaning a little bit for some that are superstitious. So I thought that that'd be really funny to have 3 cats. And now I'm coming in with the bathrooms, the bedrooms, getting the last bits put together on everything, and I can't wait to show you guys how this finishes up. And then another thing that I really enjoyed doing was like this little hallway space because I felt like I could really cram in like a few things. So we got like the rocking chair, then we've got all the different kinds of stuff for like laundry, pretty much everything you need is all still in there, even though it's a tiny little bit. Okay, so now we are going in and starting our tour. Yes. So here you can kind of see our big collection of merch and just all different kinds of stuff you can get. Here's our little public bathroom, so you guys can see that as well. Kind of a quick breeze by, but it is small and not a lot to see. And so now we are looking around here. I really love doing the sugar skull collection. I like doing the dining area sort of stuff, and then here with the cafeteria thing. Just so that there's, a whole destination experience rather than it just being a store, because then you would just go to Amazon. But if you could also get something to eat and sit by the fireplace and get your fortune read, why wouldn't you? Right? Okay, so now we're looking down. I really like the idea of there in the apothecary, and a lot of my builds I do that sort of concourse style where you've got these really lofty entrances, and it's just so much fun. And then I really thought the clock would be fun to have outside too, so that's there. And then you can see like how you can get your palm read or get your tarot read, and maybe have your future unfold for you. You can contact the dead with a séance. It's so exciting. Yes. Oh, and our dude, he's like just chilling as well, kind of coming in and helping us be able to see the place from his perspective. So we are peeking around here now, looking at the kitchen. I really enjoyed how the kitchen came out. I really like doing the islands if I can at all, but sometimes it's just a little tricky to be able to have the chance to actually really do a good island and have the space for that. And this one I really wanted to make sure that we really honed in on that sort of like paranormal stuff. So I hope I did that for you guys. And there is a little Juliet balcony that we built there. And then the fun little breeze by there of the bedroom on the way out. And I really loved being able to have that. And then here's again through the apothecary. I wanted to come in and show you guys this one more time. Yes, so now at night you guys can see how this shakes out. And again, I really love doing, as I mentioned in my last episodes, with my Federalist building. If you haven't seen it, please do, I'd be grateful. But you can see just kind of the pattern and sort of the texture that doing a skylight does for buildings like this, and it really creates that extra little ambiance to it. So now we're seeing here on the outside a little bit more, and there's just like so many things that you really have to maybe even play this back or go and download it from the gallery just to kind of really get the whole effect of it, because there is quite a bit here to do. And if anything, it might just spook you. It is a haunted house. It's listed under the haunted house categories. Here is the back as well. So you guys can see sort of how the backyard came out too. So you have a little area to like hang out, spook people out a little bit, rev them up before you go and give them their little, you know, fortune or tarot reading up there on the second floor deck. So now we are looking at the stacking plan, as we call them in real estate, and you can see how the building all came together. And then with the outside here, you're just kind of seeing now all of my final little photo gallery here. And I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm really grateful that you've watched yet another episode, and I hope you guys tune in for more. There's a lot more where this is coming from, and this week we'll be featuring, as I said, the potted plants, and then we're going to do some Valentine's Day stories, and then some more cozy builds. So maybe even a couple starter houses too for those little lovebird, newlywed, Valentine's Day couples, for those that are just starting out. So thank you so much, guys, for tuning in, and you have a great day. Stay proud and go out and do something magical. Thank you again, and take care. Thank you.